I'm going to show you guys how to build these mountains. I've built these mountains in my hardcore world, which you're actually looking at right now, except this is a copy of the world, so I can do this demonstration. These walls are perfect for all types of bases, and it allows you to terraform the world very intricately. These walls can be only a couple blocks tall, or literally as tall as you could possibly need them. Now, these walls are super simple to build, and I'm going to show you exactly how to plan and build them in your Minecraft world. So let's get started. So this piece of land here is a perfect example of why these walls are going to work. You can see this terrain is very rugged and hilly, and it's very hard to build here. The very first thing you want to do is clear up any trees so you can properly see the area, because when there's trees in the way, you can't really get a grasp of what the land actually looks like. Now that the trees are all gone, we can very easily see what this land looks like. It's a very steep hillside. So the first thing you need to do is plan how you want this to look. How many levels do you want? How tall do you want the mountain sides? And how much space do you want on each level? What I like to do is work from the top. You want to flatten this level as much as you can, and don't be afraid to push into the mountain a little bit. I usually go until the stone is about 2 blocks tall, or I guess 7 blocks tall. Now, also make sure to clear all the trees as you move forward as well, so just so you can get a better idea of what the land looks like. Now, if you don't push this back into the mountain, then you're not going to be able to build any walls up here, which is perfectly okay, but having walls at the very back gives you a nice backdrop and a lot more space on the top level. So as you can see, this is what we're left with now. We've got a lot more space. As you can see, we've pulled the mountain back about 10-15 blocks. Now up here, as you can see, there's a natural curve of this mountain. So usually I like to follow this as a guideline. So I would dig this down like this, just around the edge of these blocks here. And then I would go down and dig this back down to the right level. So we're left with this little curve here. You want to make sure that you don't have any very long flat spaces like this. As you can see, this part here is 9 blocks long and there's no curve at all. It's just flat. So generally what I'll do is I'll come to this side here where it's only 1 block, and I'll dig this down about 2 blocks. And then I might come over here and build this out a little bit. So I'll go 2 blocks wider on this side. Just like that. Instead of just having a very long flat face, this makes it a lot nicer to look at. Now, of course, you don't have to follow this natural curve of this mountain. You can decide your own. So you can just place in some grass and kind of plan how you want it to flow. This is personally how I do it a lot of the time, especially when I'm building the big mountains over there. So once you've planned it out, just go ahead and dig straight down in a line so you know exactly where the outline is, just like that. And then you can jump down, and because you have that outline, you can go ahead and flatten the rest of that down. And now we're left with this shape here. So as you can see, I've made sure that it's about the same height all the way across on the very top, and there's no super long flat faces here. It has a nice gentle curve to it. Now the stone and all the other blocks that have been revealed here on the bottom floor, I go ahead and replace this with some dirt just to turn it into grass, just like that. Now the next thing you want to do is start planning how wide you want this level to be. So you want to make it as flat as possible and fill in all of the weird spots that are around, and start planning where the edge of this mountain should be. You can add extra land here and build the mountain out like this, so you have more space on this level, or you can do the same thing you did over there and bring this mountain in and create your own curve. If I want to bring this hill in a little bit to give more space down here, I can always go ahead and just bring this back maybe 3 blocks and just plan a curve just like I did over there with some grass blocks. Maybe something like this, and then just walk around the edge and dig down the outline. So now we know that this level here is going to go from that wall there up to this edge here, and then we'll dig all this area down here in the future once we build a level down lower. Now obviously bringing it back is going to be very helpful for this area here, because as you can see there's not much space, but bringing the mountainside back, because there's so much space up here, is going to give us a lot more space to work with down here. So you can see this is, impossible to build on right now. There's nothing we can really build here unless you're building something different. But if you're building anything normal, like a normal house or a farm or anything, you're going to want more flat land to work with. So bringing the mountain back here is a good example of that. So let's go down 7 blocks again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll bring this entire mountain down to this level. So now you can see we've got another version of this wall here, just like we have over there. but obviously this one is a lot thinner. So if we want to make another one and give us more space up here, we can do the opposite of what we did. Instead of destroying the mountain, this one we can build it out. So however many blocks you want to build out, you can. So let's say about here, this looks good. And then underneath that, we're just going to place stone just all the way to the bottom of where this is, wherever the hillside meets. So this will give us a lot more space on this level and give you, I guess, a defensive point on this hillside. Now you want to do the exact same thing. You want to kind of plan out where you want this level to go with dirt. Just like this, you just want to create a line. Remember, you don't want to make a very, very straight long line because that will look weird. It'll look unnatural. Usually when I'm building out, I try and follow the shape of the mountain a little bit. So as you can see, the mountain's coming out here. So I'm going to try and come out a little bit as well and kind of try and keep a similar shape to the mountain, just like this. So I've planned this using the dirt. Now I'll go under and fill it all in with stone all the way to the bottom, making sure to delete that block that you can see under here. You don't want stone on top of dirt, that looks weird. So just replace all of it down just on the very outmost block. So then you're left with something just like this. So it brings this hillside out and gives you a lot more space on this level to work with. Then of course you just want to go ahead and fill in all this space. You can fill it all the way up if you prefer to make sure no monsters spawn in here, or you can throw down torches and then just fill in the top level. However you want to do that part is up to you. So you can see on the top level, we've moved this hillside backwards to give us more space and to allow this little hill to come in here. Instead of it just being a gradient, we've flattened this land out so we can literally build whatever we want. Now we've done a similar thing here, except we've done both versions because this was a very steep hill here, kind of just like this, where you couldn't really build anything on it. So I've dug this back to create another wall here, and then I've also built it out and created a third wall here. So now this one will have 3 walls, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3. Which will give us 2 sections. As you can see, these can be as random as you like. This was all natural land before, which I tried to mimic the natural landscape as best as I could, which I'll show you exactly right now what I mean. So if I regenerate this land, you're going to see what it looked like before. You'll be able to see that the mountain follows a very similar shape. Now if I undo that, you'll be able to see it's obviously not exact, but it does follow a very similar shape from before and after. Another good way to see that is over here. You can see I've built this long main road which stretches all the way from the top all the way to the bottom, and it pretty much follows the land almost exactly. You can see I've built it up a little bit just to make sure that the path follows a nice curvy trajectory, and you can see on the other side where the land would have been at a similar height, it is still at that very similar height there. So these mountains are a good way to utilize all the space in your area and turn it into an awesome place like this. There's one more part for the planning that I'll show you. This part here was not a mountain at all. If I go ahead and change this back to natural, when I regenerate the normal land, you'll see that this was all just air. So you can see the mountain has a very steep drop off here. So it's not really possible to do anything there. So instead, I built out all of this land very custom. This is all custom, this part here. So it doesn't follow the mountain at all. If I show you one more time, you'll be able to see the difference. It was literally nothing. So it was all built by hand. And you can see very clearly in here that it is all hollow. I'm sorry about that. I'm not filling this in. That would take thousands of blocks. Come on. But the way I built this was literally just placing dirt. So I would build a little thing like this and start planning where I wanted this kind of level to go, just like that. And then I would fill this in with dirt, just like that. And that's how I would plan this level. Now, if I wanted it to go down, obviously I was in survival, so I'd use water to go down the side. And then I'd just build out like a little path, once again in dirt, just to plan out how I wanted it to go. So I would just place the dirt down just as creatively as I could. So maybe it will curve over this way a little bit. I don't actually know what this side looked like. I'm just making this up as we go. So this is literally live, okay? I'm doing this as we speak. So I'm just building it out, right? I'm just trying to come up with another level down here. So maybe one more block, and then this will be the start of another level, right? So what I would do is I would have this level meet out here. I do the outside first because there's obviously nothing to go off here. So I'm going to outline where I want the outside of this level to go, just like this. And I would have it circle back around to meet up here to this wall here that I've already created, just like this. Maybe a little bit of a better shape. Hold on a second. There we go. A little bit more circular. So I've created that. And now what I would do here is follow this line here and just edge the path all the way around so it meets up right underneath the top level to about here, and then I'd fill all of this in. So there we go. Now we move from this level up here. There's a nice little pathway to get down to here. This pathway you can obviously make a lot wider if you want, or shorter. I've got many different types. You know, this one here is probably about 5 or 6 blocks wide. This one over here, a lot thinner, so much thinner. Another example here, this one's probably about the same. This is about 5 blocks wide. This one over here is much wider. This is about 7, 8, even 9 blocks wide in some parts. So this is a much wider path that I've done here. But anyway, the next thing to do is go ahead and outline the dirt with some stone, just like this. And then you kind of want to do the same thing here. You want to outline this level here with stone, just so you know exactly where the edge is. Once you're happy with the size of the level, of course. Now you go up to this one here and you just build this all the way down to stone until it meets with the dirt here, just like this. So now you can see this is planned. This is a wall here, and then obviously I'm going to fill the exact same thing here, just in line with this little path here, just like that. So that's how you plan this. And then you can go again and just, you know, maybe you want to extend this way. So you can go ahead and build a path out here and then surround it with stone. And you can also have this increase in height. So even if it's just like a massive open space like this, you can have it go up 1 block, just like this. Even though this isn't a staircase, you can, you know, have a little bit of a gradient. Now, an example of this is over here. You can see a lot of this was just built out a little bit. So this mountain was very steep. So I had to dig this side here from about here over. I dug it back. So over here was pretty much exactly where the stone was. As you can see, this is all natural land here. So this side was dug back, but this side over here, I had to build out. As you can see, the natural land is down here. So I built this side out a little bit, but I also added in a gradient. So obviously it's not the same the whole way through. So it goes up a block every 12, 15 blocks, however wide you want it to be. You can be as creative as you like. So this does actually have a little bit of a gradient in it. And I've also done the same thing on this level here, where I've got this wheat farm. You can see it goes down slowly. So it does make the land a lot more flat, but it still has a little bit of a gradient. So it's very natural feeling. And you know, the same thing's done over here. So when you've got big open spaces like this, you can add those gradients in, and it makes the land feel a lot nicer and more natural, I guess, if you want to say it that way. But obviously when you got smaller bits like this, it is a bit harder to add those gradients in. So if I just undo that and bring this all back, you can see this is all pretty much flat. And I've just connected little levels together using stairs. But that's how I planned this area. So that's the 3 different kind of main ways you can plan these out. Just once again, so you can always just dig it back. So then you can have extra space and have a nice wall here. You can build it out like we've done here. So obviously this wasn't very wide, so I've built this out a little bit and built this wall here. Or like we've done over here, you can just literally create a custom mountainside. Now that the area is planned and you know how big you want each level and where the walls are going to be, it's time to start making them look good, because right now it looks pretty trash. Okay, so we're going to fix that now. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and replace all of the dirt with stone. So you don't want to replace this top block, okay? Keep that grass block and just replace the dirt underneath with some stone. So it should look like this. Now that we've got this, we need to add a little bit of variance into the wall because it looks really weird right now. Obviously having just a flat wall doesn't look good. So generally what I try and do is I come to the right hand side where obviously this is going to start going back, and I dig it out just like this. I just try and carve something into the mountain. Over here I'm going to do the same thing, just, you know, dig out a little bit. If it looks weird, just place in some stone. Try and see what, you know, fits with what you're building, and just make sure it's not flat, because if it's flat, it looks weird. It doesn't have to be perfect, I promise. Once we add in all the other details, this is going to look a lot better, okay? When I started building these walls, I was worried about getting these little cuts here perfect, but then I realized obviously it doesn't actually matter, because when we add in the next steps, it's going to change this a lot anyway, and it's going to hide a lot of this. So just dig into the wall and make sure it's not flat. Try and be as creative as possible. You don't want to go too far deep because, you know, that's going to look weird. You just want to have, you know, a couple blocks here and there just dug out, just so there's a little bit of depth to the wall. Just dig, and, you know, if it doesn't look good, you can always just place the blocks in and try again. Just randomly dig. Okay, that looks good. And then we'll move back, add some in, remove some, just work with it until you find something that looks good. But remember, it doesn't have to be perfect because the next step, we're going to fix all this anyway. Okay, once you are happy with the wall, the next thing we're going to do is grab some andesite and just replace some of the stone with the andesite. The andesite is a nice texture and it just adds a little bit of extra variance and texture to this whole wall. And I promise it does change it a lot. I promise it's going to make it look so much better. So, you know, you don't have to go crazy. You don't want to just replace the whole thing like this. You don't want a lot of andesite like that. You just want a little bit, maybe a couple blocks here and there. I'd say maybe 5%, 5 to 10% should be changed to andesite. So something like this, if you have a look, there's mostly stone, only a little bit of andesite in there. Next up, grab up some stone stairs and slabs, and once again, just place these in randomly. I'm telling you, when I say random, I literally mean random. Just throw them down. Don't even worry about it, okay? Throw them all in all different kind of angles and variations, then throw in some slabs. Remember, nature is not perfect, so trying to make these walls look perfect is not going to work. You want to make them random, so just literally just throw it all down. Don't even worry about it, okay? If it looks weird, so for example, maybe this part, I don't like this, so I'll just remove it and try something else like that. Maybe I don't like that, just try it again. And then when you take a step back and look at it, you know, those stairs add a lot of variance into this wall. I think these stone stairs make one of the biggest changes. Next up, I like to use some deep slate and just throw it in down the bottom, just every 5 or so blocks, and then add in a little bit of cobblestone as well, just along the bottom few blocks of this wall, like this. I also grab some cobblestone stairs, slabs, and walls, and do the same thing. I just throw it in a little bit, just to make it look like some of the rocks have crumbled down, just like it would look like in real life, just like that. To finish off this bottom part, I replace some of the stone with tuff, just around the bottom, just like we did with the andesite. I think the tuff looks like a little bit of a darker version of andesite, so I think it works well, just thrown into the stone work at the bottom, just like that. I think it looks nice. So here's an example of those walls done without the stairs. So you don't need to use the stairs if you don't want to. It still works. But as you can see, I've still got the andesite in there, and I've got the cobblestone, deep slate, and tuff at the bottom as well. So obviously with these ones here, these walls all started as very flat stone. I just placed in a bunch of stone and I just dug it back, just like I did over there, how I showed you guys. Here are some of the walls that I've done that I haven't added in any of the texture to. So there's no andesite, there's no stairs. It's literally just been a flat mountain and I've just carved it out. So this all started exactly like this. This would have all been just a very flat mountainside. And if I've got the time lapses, I'll chuck them in so you can see what I'm talking about. But it was all like this, the whole thing. So this one was also like this, just all the way down, just a flat wall. And all I've done was grab some scaffolding and literally just dug. So I dug this line down there, and then I'd go, okay, a couple blocks down, maybe here, and I'd dig this down, and then the same thing over this side. I don't want it to be the exact same as this side. You know, I'd have one block lower like that, so you can see instead of being exactly in line here, I go one block lower and then dig this one down. Then maybe I'll go 4 blocks, boom, dig this down. Over here, once again, just find a line and then dig it down like this. Just completely random. And then you just keep going until you have something that you're happy with. Then when you get to the bottom kind of levels, you can always build it out if you prefer, just like that. And then there, as simple as that. That's all you do. You have the flat stone wall and then you just dig it out so it's not flat. It looks as random and, you know, different as possible. And then you go through, add in the andesite randomly, and of course the stone stairs. So now that you've got this wall, how do you finish off the top? So there's a couple ways to do this, and it's 100% personal preference for this part. So something I've been really liking doing lately is replacing the outside grass with stone, just like this, and then placing in some stone on top, just every couple blocks, like that. And then in between there, I'm gonna chuck in some 2-high stone, just like this. So it creates kind of like a very rugged peak at the very top. Then I grab in these stone stairs and I just randomly place these on top. Once again, just literally as random as possible. You want this to just be as crazy as you can get it. And it will look good. As long as you're random, it's going to look good. If you try and make everything perfect, it's not going to look good. Then grab some andesite and replace some of the stone just with some andesite, just like we did on the walls. Just like that. And there you go. Now you've got those peaks just like that. Now, once you've added those in, you can see, I think this looks a bit weird. So I can just go ahead and chuck in a stair there like that. Maybe this looks funny, so I'm going to change that a little bit. And just don't be afraid to change it a little bit if it starts looking funny. There we go. I think that looks very nice. So now we've got the wall. Obviously, if we wanted, we could dig this back a little bit and have another level up here with another wall back here. So now we've got all this space that we've created. And then obviously if we did the same here, we'd have another level just here. I'll show you another 2 examples of things you can do to the top. As you can see, I've created this little stone brick and spruce contraption here along this level. So let me remove this just so I can show you exactly what I've done. So what I did, I had the grass obviously on top of the stone like we had before. And then every second block, I place in a stone brick stair facing upwards 1 block below the grass. Now, once again, 1 block gap, and then another stone brick stair. Then on top of those stone brick stairs, I add in 2 stone bricks. In between the first stone brick, 1 above the stone brick stair, I add in a spruce stair right in line with the grass like this. And then I add in some spruce trapdoors on the very outside in line with that stair. Now on the top to finish this off, I grab a spruce slab, place it in between the stone bricks, and then a trapdoor on top of those stone bricks, just like that. A super simple design, which does cost a lot of spruce logs, like a ton, okay? It's very expensive in spruce, but I think it looks very nice. And another thing you can do is add in these little stone pillars here with some leaves in between and some fences as well. So how you would do this is you'd grab your stone and then every 15 or 20 blocks, let's say maybe here, you'll remove this grass, add in the stone, and then add in a little stone pile here. Once again, just random stone thrown together. Then replace some of the stone with andesite, add in a couple stone stairs randomly, just to make it look a little bit more rocky, I guess. Then in between the 2 stone piles that we have, just going to place in some leaves randomly, just like this. Then over here, once again, just some random leaves like this. Then using spruce fences, I'm just going to place them along the edge, just like this, so it meets in between the 2 piles of leaves that we've got. Now, this fence looks a little bit weird. It's just very straight and long. So what I've done here is I've just gone ahead and placed in logs like this, 2 high, with a trapdoor on top, just like that. So it kind of breaks it up a little bit. And that's another way you can kind of stop people falling off the edges. They're the 3 main ways, but you can literally do whatever you want. If you don't want to go crazy, you can just add a line of spruce fences on the outside. You can maybe add in a castle wall type thing like this, maybe some spruce trapdoors in between, or you can even just leave it like that, completely flat. It's completely up to you. But these walls are pretty simple to make once you make a few of them, and I think just gives you much more space to work with. Obviously, this farm would not have been possible on the very edge of a mountain. You can see this land was very, very steep. You couldn't build anything here, but because I built this out and just built up a wall and then obviously dug this side back, it's just given me so much more space to just build whatever I like. But that is how I've built these mountains. I really hope that this tutorial has helped you. I did my best to explain it. It's a little bit of a hard thing to explain, but I hope I got it through and, you know, you're able to build these in your world now, because I know that these were very, very popular and you guys love them. If you haven't seen my hardcore series, make sure to check it out, because I've got a bunch of videos where I'm literally just building out this mountain. This mountain took so long and, you know, I love it. It's awesome. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you a lot. And I hope to see you again very, very soon. Until next time, see you later.